Hello, hello. It's Wednesday, December 1st, and welcome to Heads Together. I'm Bonnie Low-Kramen, and I am here with Jennifer Wilner. Hello,
Hello,
Jen.
Bonnie. Hi. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday to you. Hopefully, everyone had a terrific Thanksgiving if you celebrated, and if you are in other parts of the world, just hoping you find this beginning of December off and running. Lots of interesting things in the news. My gosh, on Thanksgiving, we heard about this latest variant of COVID. Looks like, Jen, it's not over yet.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. And you just read that the first case is in California.
Minutes ago. Yeah.
Great. So, all right.
Pressing on.
The community of assistants in the world will be dealing with that as we move forward into 2022. So for me this week, as we took last week off with Thanksgiving, and it was great to be off. This Friday, I have my first session with the TEDx coach. I shared on this show that I'm doing a TEDx talk on January 22nd at Rutgers Camden. And as part of the process, they assign you a coach, a person who will be a speech coach. So I am super excited for that experience. We'll see how, and I will be reporting on it on this show. Hello, Marion Freund. Welcome to the show. And yes, of course, the first case is in California where you are. We're not holding you responsible. That's okay,
No,
Marion.
not at all.
Not at all. So we welcome you and all of our viewers to the show today. When I thought it was important to talk still again about money, about compensation, and about the latest news about how that's being handled in the world. And Marion, thank you for your good wishes about TEDx. Yeah, I think working with a coach is never a bad thing. Never a bad thing to work with anybody who's an expert, subject matter expert for that, to work with a TEDx coach. And just as an aside, congratulations to Marion Freund. She had her first article published in Executive Support magazine about what happens when your executive passes away. And it's an excellent article. So highly recommend it. Marion, I think you posted it on LinkedIn, and as did I. And congratulations to you. Really a great job. So happy that BTUA had something to do with it. And you shared the article at BTUA. So welcome to Denise and Jill. Welcome to the program. I know we've got a lot of people coming in today to talk about money. Always a hot topic. Perhaps it's hard to escape the headlines right now about what they're referring to as the Great Resignation. It's also being referred to as the resignation tsunami, that since the summertime, there are over 4 million people who have quit their jobs in the United States alone. And quitting is happening internationally as well. So we have this environment where there are a lot of people quitting, and there's a lot of movement in the workplace. And that has created a war for talent, where companies, when they're losing people, they have to find new people. And how is that happening? And how is the hiring happening for that? Is it remote? Is it in person? Are the salaries commensurate? If the job is in New York City, but you have a candidate who's in Ohio, what is that doing to compensation? Are they paid? Is the person paid New York dollars, or are they paid Ohio dollars? So lots and lots of questions. So I want to talk a little bit about money and negotiating for what you are worth in this environment. Here we are in December of 2021, right? as we're talking here, I welcome your comments, your questions, your input about what the headlines say versus what your experience is in your company. I'm looking at the names and who are here today, and many of you have been through a job search in this past year, I happen to know. And so I welcome you to put your comments and just information that could help others in the chat about money and negotiating new salaries in this environment. Lynn DeLuca is saying that the salary you were offered today was $19 an hour as an assistant. In what part of the world? Yeah. Oh my gosh, that seems hideously low. Yeah. Jen is sitting there in New Jersey and I'm here in Florida, and even Amazon is doing ads on the television saying that they are paying $15 an hour.
Yeah.
So Akron Children's Hospital.
Oh.
Lynn, that's interesting. I wonder how many candidates they're getting and of what qualification. Right. It's so interesting. For me, I am hearing from recruiters weekly. I hear from leaders weekly who are looking for experienced, high caliber candidates. Hey, Mary, welcome. So happy you're here. Mary, as you know, we're talking about money. All of you are welcome to comment and question about what's really happening with compensation right now. Hopefully, many of you are eligible for bonuses, and sometimes those bonuses happen at the end of the year. I hope that your company leaders are opting to be generous in that way. In light of this great resignation and in light of the war for talent, that HR departments are really being challenged with employee retention and the questions about how do you hold on to people? What is it that they want most? Edwina is saying that she never, ever received a bonus. And Sandy Knott is saying, Lynn, that's terrible. You're worth so much more. $19 an hour is so low.
5-minute interview, Bonnie.
I just read that 5-minute interview.
I'm sorry.
And a trend that I'm beginning to hear, and I am participating in this, is that I often am asked to post jobs on LinkedIn, and I don't get any money for this. It's just something I want to do because I want to encourage, I want great assistants to land great jobs with great leaders, great companies. That's the bottom line. So today I posted one from a recruiter who's recruiting for a full-time gig in Puerto Rico, in San Juan, and it's posting at $100,000 a year, or dependent on experience. So they are looking for an EAPA, so with minimum 3 years experience. And so that's a really decent salary for someone of that experience. And they're looking for somebody who's got some experience with some high profile people. I'm hearing from leaders every week wanting high caliber people. Who's working hard? Janice Underwood is working hard. Her company's working hard on retention issues. Janice, feel free to include in the chat what are some of those tactics that you're using for retention. Sometimes it is bonus, and sometimes it is offering support for professional development. We hope that a trend, and I'm certainly working for this, is to encourage HR and recruiters to use an annual training budget as part of your package. That money's matters a lot, but it's not everything, is it? Fit is important. We know everyone on this call knows money isn't everything. It certainly helps. But the trend I was making reference to before that I didn't say was that when I'm asked to post a job, I'm now not posting it unless there's a salary attached to it. I don't want to, Lynn, I don't want to waste your time or anybody's time. 5-minute interviews that you get dressed for and get mentally prepared for. It's not okay. So isn't it better to post that salary ahead of time? And that way people can say, you know what, $19 an hour was something I did 20 years ago, or, whatever amount of time. So I'm making it my business to not post jobs unless there's salary attached. That's what I think about that. Let's see. It's against the law in Colorado now not to post the pay rate in the job posting, need to have transparency. Debbie, I couldn't agree with you more. And the good news is, as this pandemic has gone on and there has been this resignation tsunami, and I'm eager to know from everyone here, are you seeing that? Are you seeing the Great Resignation? Or, it's not just a headline, is it? Or are you seeing it at your company? And is it putting added burden on the people who are still there? And sometimes I'm hearing that the people who remain after the people resign, it's then causing a whole second wave of resignations because they can't hire new people fast enough. So the people left behind are so overburdened that they're looking to leave as well. So it's kind of a lose-lose situation here. Very interested in the retention possibilities. B2AOD on demand was approved for me, so that is definitely a positive action from leadership. Yeah. The trend is towards transparency and accountability. I think it was last year, Jeremy Spake and I wrote the article, How is HR Really Deciding How Much to Pay You? And Jen is going to put it in the chat in case you missed it, in case you didn't see the article. And so that how is HR making those decisions? What kind of resources are they looking for? Jen, I think we have some questions. I see them coming in fast and furious.
Exactly.
Edwina has one about how we can raise awareness.
How can we raise awareness on this issue of non-transparency?
Yeah. Part of it is you can check out the link of that article, How is HR Really Deciding How Much to Pay You? Read it yourself so you're clear. Certainly you can follow up with me if you have any questions about it, but give that article to HR. Give that article to your leaders. And in the article, you'll read that I'm a big advocate of, creating your own job description. You've heard me say that many times. It's very, very important that the job description you have is very accurate, because job description equals money. So the responsibilities you hold, the skills you have, the experience you have, all translates into your title, and your compensation. So to go to HR armed with your accurate job description to say, hey, it's the end of the year, it's December of 2021, could I have a pay evaluation? Could you, in the effort towards transparency, you don't have to say that word necessarily, but I'd like to know where I stand salary-wise in the company, and I'd like to have a conversation about the plan for me. It is a reasonable and realistic question to ask. I know it's not comfortable because we don't have a long history of asking that question, but it is a trend that we're seeing because HR is working really hard to retain you. They're referring to you as high-value employees. How do we hold on to high-value employees? One way is to talk about career path and career growth. Another is certainly to pay you more. Another is, if bonuses have not been a part of the plan up till now, to start having them at companies. I mean, perhaps you've heard about some companies that are offering sign-up bonuses, signing bonuses, $5,000 or, a certain amount of money to just say yes to coming into the company. Jen and I were talking offline about companies, especially things in hospitality, like restaurants that are going out of business because there simply aren't enough staff to go around. Well, Maggie Jacobs, welcome to the call today. What is Maggie?
Well, it's a long one. My favorite levers to pull in compensation conversation: higher base, ask. Sometimes we sign without negotiating. Sign-on bonus, increased base is always better because that's, sorry, the feed is hitting. Annual training budget, stock options, RSUs, refreshers, title aligned to impact and value, add bonus. A whole bunch of acronyms that I don't know.
Maggie, T&E is travel and expenses.
Okay.
RSUs, help us with RSUs, Maggie, if you would. Retention bonuses are appropriate in being used. Yes, we're hearing that. Cost of living adjustments are great. So yes, there are many different strategies and tools that you could talk with HR about besides the bonus. It could be about stock options. And Marion is asking, have any of the EAs here received a sign-on bonus? Or a signing bonus, they're called. A lot of sports players get those.
Right.
Edwina has a comment, Jen.
And Edwina says, I've been interviewing at a certain company and the recruiter always says, I can't tell you the salary, but if you tell me what you're looking for, I can tell you if you're in the range they're willing to pay.
And I say to that, why is it such a secret? Right. Why does it money is in this realm of the forbidden and the taboo, and it's just not okay. Why should it be such a secret? So, Maggie's saying that RSUs, thank you, Maggie, restricted stock public companies.
Gotcha.
Denise Buckelman, who got a job in this last year, said she received a signing bonus. Great. So it is a trend that we're seeing as a way to attract high value employees. Honestly, I think that this is a great time to be applying for new work as an executive assistant. And the caveat is they want you to walk through the door with certifications, with, in Microsoft Office. It's important to ask if they need you to be fluent in both PC and Mac. That's a plus, but sometimes there's still a bring your own device to work. It's such an interesting time. Signing bonuses are no longer just for executives, they for us as well. Sandy, not. Yeah, Sandy, you are another example of someone who found new work in this last year. And so the landscape is shifting and changing. A couple of years ago, when there was that Wall Street Journal article that said that this profession was vanishing, it is so not. It was wrong, dead wrong. What we're seeing now, going on 2 years into this pandemic, is that company leaders need assistance more than ever. It is possible to do the job remotely. We're finding out, and what I'm hearing is that many leaders want the hybrid way. They want their assistant to be present, physically present, 2-3 days a week, some of the time due to the need, but can work at home the other part of the time, which happens to be the working style that most assistants were talking about pre-pandemic, that would be a conversation so common, that that's what assistants really, really wanted. And so now the table is being set for you to have what you want, if that is the case. Are there assistants working, 1,000 miles away from their leader? Sure, there is that happening. I think we're still in an environment which is very volatile and shifting by the week. But regarding money, this is the time to negotiate for an amount of money that is fair to generous. It will be about evaluating the job description that you are given. And this is an interesting thing, is think of what I want every assistant to think about is who's writing that job description? Who's writing it? Do they really know what's involved in the role? Or does it simply sound good? And that's where bullets like must have a college degree come from. Really? Why? It's not necessarily true. So, many of you on this call today have more than 15, 20 years experience. One of the reasons a company would want people like you is because you come with that kind of experience. And with that experience comes the ability to look at a job description and understand if it's realistic or not. Is it possible for one human being to do that job description? Mm-hmm. And if it isn't, it's important to say so, that's the reason they're bringing you in, is because you're looking at those details with a trained eye. And you're able to look at it and say, actually, this sounds like the job description for 1.5 people or 2 full-time jobs. And you'll need more explanation. And, I don't care who you are, or how much money they're offering. It's not sustainable to expect somebody to do literally 2 full-time jobs. Claudia has a comment, Jen.
Claudia I am fully remote and have been since prior to the pandemic. I do make sure that I can be there if needed. I am very fortunate that I have a New Jersey salary while living in Virginia.
Yeah, thank you, Claudia, for sharing that. So here's a trend we're hearing, and I invite you to comment on this. And it is this, that say we have an assistant you're in Virginia and the company is in New Jersey, and say you moved to Virginia during the pandemic. The trend is that companies are not going to ask existing staff to take any kind of pay cut, because that's the formula for losing people, for sure. That there's been a lot of movement during the pandemic, a lot of people moving places, to be near family or for whatever reason that they've had. But Jeremy Spake, my compensation expert, he has indicated that it's going from, in the United States, they call them zones, cost zones. So New York and San Francisco would be high cost zones. And then there are medium cost zones and low cost zones. And HR is used to this and used to calibrating how much salary is needed for a low cost zone. But now it's complicated by the fact that you've got, companies based in San Francisco and having staff working in Indiana. So existing staff are so far not really being asked to take any pay cuts. However, if new people are, you're hiring somebody in Indiana for a job that's based in San Francisco, and it's not going to require going into the office, then the trend is that they're now going to be paying Indiana salaries. If Indiana employee chooses to move, though, to San Francisco, if the company asks her or him to move to San Francisco, then salary should get adjusted that way. But if it's the employee's choice to do that, then that's a conversation. You see, it's complicated. Cost zones. And now they're looking for people in lower cost zones for remote.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so if executive assistants, if you're sitting here and you see your company looking for remote workers, but you know that really the job would be much better handled with someone in person, this would be your opportunity to say so. It's important that your leaders hear from you, that it might be one of those things that they think that would be a good idea, but it's not necessarily true in practice,
And assistants often know better, so.
And then Jen's making reference to
Bonnie's quote.
The slide that I use so often in B2A is that assistants often know better. So, this is a great time to be negotiating money, not as a threat, but as evening the playing field. For far too long, assistants have been underpaid in general. And in large part because the profession is 95 to 98% female. And females in general, we have not been trained to ask. And so with these remaining minutes that we have, many of you have heard this before, but I feel it's important on a show about negotiating money, that it's understood that HR and leaders are more inclined than ever in December of 2021 to be open to looking at your revised and accurate job description and making a decision about how important it is to retain you and keep you happy, in other words. And you can come to the table with ideas. If they don't want to give it to you in base salary, which I hope they will, because Maggie, of course, is right that it's best of all if your increase comes in a base salary as opposed to a discretionary bonus. But you could say, might I be eligible for an extra bonus this year? Might I be eligible for stock options? Those kinds of things. And in addition, it's important for you to come to the table with the facts, to make your case, your business case. It is imperative to not only have that job description that's amazingly accurate and detailed, but a resume that is up to the minute with all the certifications that you have, the workshops you've taken, the webinars that you've, learned a skill from. It's not that you have to name absolutely everything you've listened in on, but things that have impacted your job will make an impression on your leaders. And then to create a business case, your professional summary, if you will, your document that is your professional summary of who you are and what you do. And in the chat, Jen is including a link for the Heads Together that we did several weeks ago, probably months ago now. The time goes so fast. We did a show with a member of SHRM, the Society of Human Resource Managers, who talked about why some assistants, why some people are paid hourly versus why some are paid by salary. So there's that link. And then I didn't ask you to put this link in the chat, Jen, but if you can find it, Taboo No More.
Yes.
The ways to make more money. And the strategy that I was just about to say is in that article about it. You can Google it. It's Taboo No More. The real truth about money. Leaders are responsive to this packet of information that's completely factual. It's all about you. It is beautifully formatted, and it is not only an example of your work product, but it is what leaders are not used to seeing. is an up-to-the-minute summary of who they have sitting in front of them, that you might have been working with them for 10 plus years, but have they ever seen a document that includes your up-to-the-minute resume, your current job description, compared to the job description you were hired to do? Your bulleted list of achievements of the last year, quantifiable achievements. How much money did you save? How big a team do you supervise? How much of a budget did you manage to handle that particular project? These are quantifiable achievements. The next page is a bulleted list of the things, the projects that you know are coming up in this next 6 to 12 months. Things that you know are on the boards that you are going to be involved with, whether it's a renovation, a move, you're finally doing an in-person event for 150 people, whatever it is. These are quantifiable projects that are happening. And that list tells your leaders that you know exactly what's coming down the pike in 6 to 12 months. Also included in this packet, in the summary document, which could be 20 pages long in the end, the next pages could be the 1, 2, 3, 7 emails, copies of emails that you've gotten, those nice letters, those kudos notes that you get from a colleague or a manager. So it doesn't have to be somebody who's still working there. It's these letters that say, you saved me, Edwina. Thank you so much. I couldn't have done that without you. And those letters, carefully chosen, will tell your leaders how others feel about you, and how valuable you are to the organization. After that is a summary of your salary, is a summary of the money, the package you have, how much vacation, how much bonus, how much stock, your whole package. Prefaced by a sentence that goes something like, based on my responsibilities, my skills, my experience, and my research. It's important that you do your research on what these roles are going for right now in your geographic market. This is my proposal for 2022, say. And this has been my compensation so far. You started in 2001. And all of this information is verifiable. You can go back in your W-2s, et cetera. So it's a summary of what your salary history has been, and then your proposal for this next period of time. And it's a proposal. It's not a threat. It's not an ultimatum. It's meant to be a conversation.
Absolutely.
To open up the dialogue, with all the prior pages giving justification about how valuable you are to the organization. And then you give your number, the number that is fair to generous, given all of that, given what you do every day, and whatever else you want, another week's or another few days vacation, a $5,000 training budget, whatever it is that would make you stay. Simply put,
right.
What would make you satisfied, really happy to wake up every day and feel respected and valued by your leaders and by the organization? That really is what this is. And then that's it. And then it goes with a cover letter. And your cover letter is friendly. And again, these are my words, but I believe it should be short and to the point. essentially saying, I'm so excited to be thinking about another year at XYZ company and working in support of you, and particularly excited about these projects, if you want to name one or two, and to say, I've put together this document in order to help us with the conversation about compensation in this next year. And hopefully my suggestion is to send this document 7 days prior to your meeting that you've set up to talk about this with HR or your leaders, because no leader wants to be surprised by this kind of material. They want a chance to think about it. What I've seen with our students, and welcome Ame. Ame is another BTUA student, and I'm so interested, Jen, if you can put Ame's comment up in just a sec, that what we have found with our students is that when they do this exercise, the first reaction from most leaders is shock. Shock. They're shocked, mainly because so few assistants actually go to the steps, time and energy to put together such a detailed document. And the next reaction is respect. I promise you that. It is respect to look through it and say, oh my gosh, I had no idea. It's a reminder to your leaders about who they have supporting them day in, day out. Mostly women who do not toot their own horns, who do not say out loud how great you are, mainly because women don't do that. What does Ame have to say, Jen?
So Ame's asking, what are pointed to open up potential to get stock options? And is there a law that they have to offer them to all employees if they offer to me?
Oh, I don't believe there is. I think you would need to check with your local, and I don't know what part of the world you're based in now, Ame, if it's New York or somewhere else.
Right.
But I believe that's federal law, but I am not professing to know the law about that. But that's a question for HR. That's a question for accountants. In the spirit of transparency, HR should be willing to answer those questions. And really, it's about, you're asking for the words to say. It is about putting together some kind of documentation, whether it's the full-blown summary that I just shared or a version of that, and to ask for a meeting and to say you'd like to have a pay evaluation for 2022 and to explore the options for your compensation. One factor, a main factor, is your base salary. But could we explore other ways to increase my salary in 2022? And ideally, this should not mean an increase in responsibilities. Most assistants have quite a full plate as it is, and your job description should speak for itself, Ame, and everybody on the call. That's the reason to have a detailed job description, is so that these documents that I'm urging you to put together, they do the talking for you before you ever have to get around a table and speak them out loud. On that page with your proposal for 2022, it could say ideas for increasing compensation in 2022, stock options, professional training budget. You can include them as bullets, and that way those are ideas that are already planted before you ever even get in the room and have that conversation. These so now you're in San Francisco. Well, that's a great market to be in, highly competitive for talent right now, Ame. So it's about building documents that inspire the conversation. And the question becomes for leaders in HR is, how do we hold on to our high value employees? What do we need to offer them so that they will stay? And not only will they stay, but they will stay happily. That's what we want. We want staff who are going to not only be occupying the seat, but being in that seat, feeling respected and valued, because the data shows people work harder if they feel valued and respected.
Absolutely.
Right, Jen?
Absolutely. Absolutely. As a side note, May, just because I saw that your comment before about the links. So for some funny reason, LinkedIn does not play well with StreamYard with the links that we're sharing. So I will send them to you. But in the meanwhile, you all should know that all the links that we share on Heads Together will live it as a comment by Bonnie's business, Be the Ultimate Assistant Facebook page. So they're always there. But I will send them to you privately also later on May. No problem.
Yeah. I mean, we can put them in LinkedIn as well. I mean, I hope you're following me on LinkedIn. Jen, if we can put up the scroll. My hope is that you found something of value in this conversation today about money, that this is a really interesting time for compensation for executive assistants. And those of you, there are many people on this call who know me very well, and I am never in the spirit of taking unfair advantage of leaders or HR. I don't believe in being overly greedy. I do believe, though, that assistants have been underpaid for a long time. So my goal is to get us to fair. If we can get to fair for the majority of assistants, I would die a happy woman. I would. Yes, May is driving. Drive carefully. Don't have an accident. So Jen is putting up those links. My hope for each and every one of you for 2022 is that you are doing work that makes you happy, that you are surrounded by people who respect you and value your contribution for what you do for your leaders and for your organizations, and that you are paid properly for that work that you're doing. Job description equals money, and the time has come for us to even the playing field and for assistants to finally make the money that you so deserve to be making. We have opened registration for 2022 Be the Ultimate Assistant. We begin in New York in May. So I hope that you will check out our website, betheultimateassistant.com, and check that out. We have a great show scheduled for next Wednesday. We will have a guest on this show talking about her journey from executive assistant to chief of staff. Many of you know her. She is Brenda Rogers of Dallas, Texas, who has been a BTUAer, and she has had quite an extraordinary journey. And I'm so excited that she finally said yes to me. And she will be our guest next Wednesday, December 8th at 3 p.m. Jen will, what do we have still?
You got it. You got it all.
All right. Please do check out globalskillsmatrix.com, which is the document that was prepared by a stellar team of executive assistants and professional trainers about the career path development for this role. We are in exciting times, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm so excited that I live to see the day, really, that leaders have been forced to look at this group of professionals in a new way. And it's been caused by the pandemic. But so if there's any silver lining to what's gone on in the last 2 years, it may be a heightened and new awareness of the importance and value of this role. So let us keep speaking up about what we see in the workplace, about what they're planning that may work or it may not work. And I invite you to connect with me if I can be helpful to you in any way. But the time has come for you to make the money you deserve.
Absolutely.
So thank you. What's that, Jen?
Sorry, one last tiny thing. If you would like to be a guest speaker on Heads Together, reach out to yours truly. My email address is in the scroll. gmail.com, and I will hook you up with Bonnie. We want to see you here.
We know we have a lot of subject matter experts on this call. So thank you, Edwina. Thank you all for being here, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
See you next Wednesday.
Please share with others who would benefit from this information. Thanks. Thanks, Jen.
You got it.